Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dylan James. How are you? I hope you're having a beautiful day. If this is your first time here, I am a mindset coach that loves to focus on relationships. And when I say mindset coach, what I really mean is making sure you're within a healthy belief system and a regulated nervous system state that allows for you to show up, entertain, behaviorally maintain, and sustain the results that you want in your life. The stories that we tell ourselves, the beliefs that we hold really form our perception and our behaviors, and in turn, create specific, non-specific results and patterns within our life. So if you want to break patterns within relationships or any area of your life, then making those internal adjustments first is always the first step. In today's video, I want to talk about two things, and I'm going to use some examples to illustrate the points that I have. The first thing that I want to talk about is when you guys are dating, when you're going out into the world and you are assessing who and what you want, I really want you to treat dating much like somebody's applying for a job. Now, when somebody owns a company and they have a particular role that they want filled, they have expectations for that role. They have certain standards that need to be upheld, and there's a certain level of competency that is expected. When you're thinking about relationships, somebody is interviewing for one of the most important roles in your life, which is nurturing you physically, mentally, and emotionally, intertwining their life with you financially, and integrating into your daily life, your social dynamics, and your family. So this is a very significant role in your life, right? And there are particular expectations, wants, and needs that need to be met, and standards that you should hold. Another point that I want to bring into this is when you're dating, you guys are meeting strangers. And so oftentimes, what I see people do is when they get to know somebody and they learn somebody's name, they automatically form this association or set of expectations that they believe this person is going to do, regardless of whether or not they see proof behind that person actually being able to perform or do those things. Now, at the end of the day, we want to have positive assumption. We want to assume positive intent. We don't want to be walking around believing that men can't be trusted, women can't be trusted, relationships are difficult, we can't get what we want. So in general, we do need to hold those beliefs, that there are men that are trustworthy, committed, loyal, loving, women that are in the same fashion, that we're able to create the relationships that we desire, that it's normal for us to get commitment, love, mutual respect, a meeting of our wants and needs, to be understood, have healthy communication, and maintain healthy dynamics in our life. So from that sense, we want to be operating with positive intent, but there is an objective reality occurring here and a mental reality. And we need to make sure that the belief system that we're in allows for us to assess what is objectively going on and make the necessary adjustments within ourselves, both mentally and how we're physically showing up, that is congruent with our belief system, which is independent of people, places, or things, but causes us to respond to life differently and in turn create different results. What that means is when you're going out into the world and when you are getting to know people, you need to really assess how they're showing up and whether or not the behaviors they're displaying are congruent with your general belief system. Instead of just blindly trusting people, you have to realize that when you're dating, this is one of the most important roles that somebody can have in your life. You deserve to have standards. You deserve to have certain emotional wants and needs met. Not certain, you deserve to have your emotional wants and needs completely met. Granted, you're also emotionally available and able to meet another person's wants and needs. But again, there should be those standards, normalizing of your wants and needs being met, and certain expectations that you have within relationships. When you approach dating this way, you're going to be able to assess things accurately. Instead of just quickly attaching to people and pacifying and ignoring things that you shouldn't ignore, you're going to be more attuned to operating from a place of self-preservation, self-protection in a balanced manner. You're going to be able to remove yourself when you need to. And essentially, what I'm trying to say here is Instead of getting so infatuated with how people look and some of the things that they've said, you really need to assess their behaviors and make sure that you're not accepting things that you don't want that are then going to lead you into a dynamic that you hate. Because again, when you're dating, somebody is applying for a job. Likewise, in the reciprocal fashion, when somebody's dating you, you are interviewing for a position in their life, and they deserve to have expectation standards and a normalized meeting of their wants and needs as well too. And if you're not able to show up and perform in those ways, you're not going to make the cut. And some of you need to get more fearless with firing people and realizing that they are applying for one of the most important positions within your life. Instead of trying to mold people into who you want them to be, you need to define who you are and what you get out of life. So, the reason why I'm using this example is because if you were hiring for a company and somebody came in incompetent, they were clocking in late all the time, they were not performing their duties, they were running payroll, they were clocking additional hours without working, and they were essentially not living up to the standards of the job, would you continually give them chances? Would a company continually give them chances? Absolutely not. So how come when it comes to your love life, when somebody is applying for one of the most important roles in your life, we are complacent with it and allowing them to clock in late? We're complacent with it and allowing them to not meet our needs and wants. We're complacent with it, and maybe some days they come into work on time, but most of the time they're inconsistent and not completing their tasks. This is something you need to get objective with, because much like a job, when there are certain expectations in place, if somebody cannot meet those expectations, they're fired, right? I mean, they could try to rectify the situation and do better, but they're definitely not going to do it if they don't get held accountable. And so some of you need to realize you are the boss and CEO of your life. You need to get clear on what your wants and needs are and very clear on what a relationship is in your life and the certain expectations that go into that. And instead of allowing negative attachments to continue to let somebody clock in late, leave you out dry, not complete their tasks, and have you over here questioning whether or not, like, what's going on, you need to realize that you don't need to do any of that. You have a right in a relationship to be respected and loved properly. And if people cannot do that, you need to objectively acknowledge that and adjust yourself accordingly. They can reapply for the position if they'd like, but they're never going to elevate in their position. They're never going to continue. They're not going to do more work if you're just okay with them continually clocking in late and never holding them accountable. Okay, so that's the first topic that I want to cover today. And I want you to really, really think about that analogy that I just gave there, because I know some of y'all have employers that would not give one single fuck and would fire you. So over a job that is nowhere near as important as somebody being romantically involved with you. So how can we have employers out here that are able to uphold standards, but then in our personal life, we're letting people get away with all of this BS? Okay, you already know. Okay. The other thing that I want to talk about today is your routines and where your focus should be. When it comes to creating a relationship and getting what you want out of your life, the simplest solution here and I promise you this is the simplest solution. You don't need to be going out doing the most, downloading all the apps and trying to figure out how to get somebody to love you. If you can focus purely on your mindset, on regulating your nervous system, on establishing good routines, and just getting hot as fuck and not giving a fuck about anybody and just showing up for yourself every single day and taking care of your body, I guarantee you, you will have people falling over trying to get to know you. When you stop trying to make something happen and you literally just focus on investing in yourself and taking care of yourself, you will have people going out of their way to get to know you. And if you can couple that with a good belief system and approach dating like what I just described, you're going to get the respect that you deserve. So instead of sitting here every day waiting for somebody to love you and respect you and wondering whether or not they're going to be able to fulfill the position that you have given them in your life, I want you and I need you and you need to want to and you need to step into the role you have in your life, which is the boss and CEO of who what you're accepting and what you're entertaining. You need to get objective. You need to define what you deserve. And instead of chasing after people and trying to get them to love you, stop giving a fuck. Fire them if you need to. Okay. Again, they can reapply and just focus on taking care of yourself. It can literally be that simple. Your life can change so quickly if you get solid routines in place. You really adjust the beliefs that you need to adjust, and you focus on nervous system regulation, and you stop waiting for the things that you don't need to wait for. You stop disrespecting yourself, trying to get people to love you and acknowledge you. I guarantee you, your life will change so quickly. Some of you may be a little bit scared to do that, but it's the thing that you're not doing, and it's the thing that needs to occur. And the more you respect yourself, the quicker other people are going to respect you and actually show up for you properly. Okay, so don't be afraid. Um, you can do it. It's what needs to be done. And when I'm explaining this too, that doesn't mean that like you can't fix dynamics or turn them around. This is actually how you fix dynamics and turn them around. Remaining silent and accepting what you don't want and allowing somebody to do whatever they want to do to you is not going to breed any sort of solution. I want you to think about that. If I just continue to allow this person to treat me like crap, all they're going to continue to learn is that this is okay. So I got to be unafraid to ruffle some feathers. I got to stop caring. I'm not talking about being messy and getting online and crashing out and posting all over the place how somebody has wronged you. What I mean is removing this from your life, focusing on yourself, continuing to get hot as fuck, building yourself up, focusing on making money, taking care of your body, and stepping into your best life where you're not sitting here triggered and waiting for somebody to love you properly. Again, if you can do that, you're going to be very happy. All right. I also want to mention too, I am still doing the monthly coaching. I've been loving it so much with the people that have signed up. So if you want somebody that holds you accountable to making this change, if you're ready to glow up, if you're ready to no longer struggle with intrusive thoughts and behaviors and accept things that you don't want, I would love to work with you one-on-one. It is such a joy to watch people grow and change and elevate above the BS, and the whole experience is great. So anybody that is interested in working with me on the monthly, just know I'm not going to play. I'm going to set really high expectations and standards for you because that's what you deserve. You don't have to settle. You don't have to accept things that you don't want, and you definitely don't have to disrespect yourself or wait for somebody to love you properly. All right. So that's all I had to say today. Let's all pull it together, have a good weekend, and focus on ourselves and show up for ourselves the way that we deserve to. All right. Love you. Have a good day.